Is it working? Okay. Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to testify. This is my family. My name is Kieran Neill, and I'm a family medicine physician in Rhode Island, and I am also was born and raised here. And this is my daughter, Paloma, and my wife, Jasmine. So, as I was saying, good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity. I'd like to speak in support of 2136. I'd like to emphasize a couple of points with my story. One is really the importance of this bill in honoring the equality of LGBTQ parents to establish parentage through voluntary acknowledgement of parentage, also to have a secure and clear route to establishing parentage. And this is important because anybody who wants her can take her at this point for a little while, but no, just kidding.
I with 29-year-old twins, that sounds like music.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. My story, so Jazz and I have been partners when we decided to conceive Paloma. We'd been partners for 10 years. We were not married. We had been planning to get married over Thanksgiving when both of our families were here. And unfortunately, my story is another story about challenges with pregnancy. I was pregnant with twins at the time, and I had a placental abruption. I didn't realize I was having a placental abruption. I lost one twin at the delivery, and Paloma was born at 28 weeks. And when I woke up from C-section, I also did not know if either or any of the children were alive, and thankfully Paloma is. But the first thing that I could think was I knew Paloma was being transferred to Women and Infants Hospital. And so I was in pain, unaware of what was going on, but all I could think of was I have to send a note saying that Jazz is allowed to make medical decisions, because I knew that this child was in critical condition and it was very likely that she would need medical attention upon arriving at the NICU. And I was the only legal parent. Who then would make decisions for this child if decisions needed to be made? This was all I could think about in waking up from C-section, was I wanted to make sure that Jazz would be recognized as a parent, as other people have shared in testimony. And so I was writing this note with my doctor by my side, and finally it's just, can you please write it and I will sign it. I can't even think straight. I don't know if any of you have woken up from surgery and been asked to write a document to try and protect your child's health. But that was the situation that I was in. So with my doctor, we wrote this note, and it was sent afterwards because Paloma went ahead of me to the NICU. I then was kept in recovery for several hours before I was transferred to Women and Infants Hospital after her, where I was able to come. We were able to hold the baby. But it is these kinds of decisions that I think my colleagues have discussed about the vulnerability that we feel in becoming parents. And we are parents who desperately want our children. We have made huge sacrifices and gone through a lot of invasive medical procedures in order to be able to have our children through reproductive assistance. The second piece that I would like to echo is the process of searching for a lawyer to go through the second parent adoption was arduous. We faced a lot of discrimination when meeting with lawyers. It was unclear who would understand our circumstance and could help us go through this process clearly and cleanly. I was asked questions like, how exactly did you become pregnant? Can you explain the process to me? This is legal means. Did you have sex with the donor? I was asked all sorts of questions like this, which really are not ultimately important. But as a young, new parent of a child who had been in the NICU, I was scared, and I wanted to make sure that our family was protected. And I believe that we went through situations that no family should need to go through. So in closing, I just want to emphasize how important it would be, in particular for me and for our family, for this acknowledgement of the voluntary acknowledgement of parentage, for Jasmine to have been able to be on the birth certificate from the very beginning, to have our partnership and our family acknowledged. And most importantly, to support the health and the development of our child and the health and the development of our families. And I thank you very much for listening to all of our testimony and those of all of our colleagues this evening. Thank you so much for standing up for Rhode Island families.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Are there any questions or comments for this witness?